Welcome to the Generous Business Owner Podcast, where business owners gain inspiration and encouragement to live a legacy, not just leave one. And now your hosts, Jeff Thomas, Alan Barnhart, and Jeff Rutt.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's Generous Business Owner Podcast. My name is Jeff Thomas, and we've got a very special guest with us today, Steve Adams. Steve is a really interesting guy. You're going to love this. He scaled a $100 million business, has had an exit, is still involved in business. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see his business behind him on the screen today. So, always been a business guy, but also has been inspired to found a nonprofit called the International Business as Mission organization, which is equipping Christian entrepreneurs worldwide. And we'll talk the business, we'll talk him growing up in the business, and then the nonprofit side. But Steve, welcome to the program.
Jeff, thank you. It's really I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. And as you know, Steve, we always try to start just with some context. Where did you grow up? What was your family like? Was there some spiritual formation? Was there entrepreneurial stuff happening as a young kid? What was the family like?
None of that, actually.
Okay.
So I grew up in Lansing, Michigan area, central, the capital area.
Yeah.
My dad, great guy. He's still alive. He's 84.
Wow.
And my mom as well. And they were not believers.
Mm-hmm.
I was born into a non-believing family. He worked at General Motors for 33 years. It was Oldsmobile back in those days.
Yeah.
That was their headquarters in Lansing. And anyway, he's a great leader. I watched him go to night school to get an associate's degree. He worked his way up from the pit where he had tool above his head all day to having several thousand people working for him. And so it was a great model and example. And then when we were in a large suburban school district, and my parents moved us to a small town, 25 miles away. It was a crisis for me because I was one of the top athletes in the school, and I had dreams of playing football in college. And I felt like those were dashed when we moved. But
Right.
God had bigger plans. Our neighbor was a bivocational pastor, and he led me to Christ that summer.
Wow.
And I think I'm the first believer in the family. And later, my mom and dad and one of my brothers came to faith as well.
Oh, good.
And I ended up playing in college. It was Division II, but it paid for school. And
Okay.
and when I was in school there, and it was a Michigan university, not University of Michigan, but a university in Michigan.
Right.
I met my wife, and we started dating in 1984 and got married in 87. So that's 39 years ago we got married. We have a 32 and a 32-year-old daughter who's a school teacher in Waco, Texas. Went to Baylor. And then our son is in the brain science world in San Francisco, married to Michelle, and she's an architect. So that's kind of an overview of our family.
Gotcha. So what'd you study
For me,
when you weren't playing football?
yeah. Well, I actually went to a school where our coach said you have to go to school. So
Right.
I studied, my undergrad was marketing with a minor in accounting, which was an odd mix.
It is an
But
interesting
it served
mix.
me well because I went into banking at a super regional bank at the time called National Bank of Detroit. It later merged with Chase. And then I moved at night after I took that first job. I got an MBA in finance and went into corporate lending and had I don't know, of the 10 years I was at the bank, I think 8 years of it was 8.5 years was in corporate lending.
I don't run into that many people. Well, I mean, there's a few, when you kind of do the MBA thing,
Mhm.
that doesn't usually, again, these are generalizations, of course, but
Yeah,
usually you're kind of looking for the corporate career, like take you a notch up to management, whatever it is.
I
You're already
agree.
at the bank. These tend to be larger organizations, even the super regionals,
Yeah,
lots of mergers and that kind of thing. And
yep.
so where did this entrepreneurial bug come into
Well,
play?
That's a really good point because when I got done with my MBA, I wanted to be the CEO of that
Of
bank, and
course.
that was the path I was on.
Right.
And that was the only model I knew because my dad and
Right.
all of his brothers worked at GM.
Exactly.
There were no entrepreneurs in our family, so
Yeah. You
that
work
was my
yourself up the
point early.
ladder. Yeah. That's what you see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And so, well, God intervened.
Yeah.
What happened was, and it was a couple of stages, but in my late 20s, I woke up on a cruise with my wife after I got done with my MBA, numb to my chest. Like my
Whoa.
legs were numb, scared me. Uh, I'm going to do this really short,
Yeah.
13 months of testing. Bottom line, it was like a massive yeast infection.
Mm.
I had a bug imbalance in my microbiome.
Mm.
And this, I mean, this was 91, 92.
Yeah.
Okay. And this doctor was way ahead of his time. Anyway, he had me on a plan and I got better. But in the midst of that, I remember asking God, if I can get my health back, because I genuinely thought I was dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't walk 10 feet without having to sit
Wow.
down. And, just
Scary.
5 years earlier, I was tackling 230-pound
Right.
pullbacks as a safety. So um, that started the process of, I just said I'd go anywhere and do anything, one of those prayers.
Right. Right.
And you got to
Save
be
me and I'm
careful.
yours.
Yeah. Yeah, be careful what you pray
Yeah.
for. Uh,
Yeah. I had one of
and it
those.
was about 2 years later, I closed the largest deal of my career. I had a really good run as one of the top sales guys in the bank, and this was a big bank. It was 80 billion in
Yeah.
assets. Um, and on my way home, and I'm pretty conservative theologically, and I didn't hear God audibly, but I overwhelming sense God calling me out of banking into entrepreneurship.
Wow.
And with IBAM and what we teach people all over the world, we always teach business is a calling.
Mm.
Um, and that was my first calling to it. I spent a few months trying to make sure it wasn't, me with my plans putting
Right.
God's name on it. But I sorted that out with my wife and some friends in our church and our pastor. And about a year and a half after that, we packed up our family and moved from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Appleton, Wisconsin. And we started our first store, which was a franchise of Pet Supplies Plus out of Detroit. They're all over the country now, but back then they had less than 100 stores. And so we did that. And it was a huge faith journey for us because there was no backup plan, no safety net. And
Did you
and
actually have to go to the bank to get a loan?
I did.
The
Yeah,
irony.
I know, isn't it? Yeah, and we had saved a lot of money, but
Yeah.
I knew from being a banker you don't ever run out of cash. So I went and borrowed a little bit of money to make sure we had excess.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because the bank I went to, it's called Associated Bank in Green Bay. It's still there.
Yeah.
They would spend 10 minutes every month talking about our store, and then they would want to ask me a million questions about how we did things at the bank I came from because we had a nationally recognized corporate culture,
Gotcha.
credit
That's
culture.
funny. They're getting free advice. That's
Free
funny.
advice. Yeah, well, that paid off though. 2 years in, I ran out of cash. And
Okay.
I opened, my dad joked with me and said, "You got more store than you have money."
Right.
And so I went to them. They called me up and said, "We need you to come in and go to work for us." And I took it. And I thought it was a failure. I thought I was
Right.
lacking faith, but what God was doing was sowing the seeds for what would happen later because I had to learn how to develop leaders in my
Mm.
absence. And so I took about a 4 year hiatus, became a regional bank president in Michigan for a bank out of Indiana. Did that really well. We grew the bank to $1 billion in 3 years. But I couldn't take it anymore. I knew I was called to be an
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So my wife let me quit two high-paying bank jobs.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I have an amazing wife that way.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I left again. And then so for the next, 21 years total, we were able to grow that business to just under 50 stores, around
Wow.
120 million in revenue, about 800 employees. It was a
Or-
big deal.
So you never shut them down. It was just you needed supplemental income.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
they
didn't
never
shut.
folded. They just didn't
No,
pay enough to really support you. Is that fair?
correct. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I didn't want to dishonor God by folding the business. So the job
Amazing.
was a way to keep it going. It was tough because, I'd work all day
Doing
and then the
both.
evenings. Yeah, doing both. But, I was young, I was in my 30s, so I could do it. And
Right.
yeah, it was an
50
amazing
stores
ride.
over 21 years. And sold it back. Did you sell it back to the parent or another
No,
operator or a
no.
private
I
equity?
had a couple of fantastic partners who were
Okay.
real estate guys
Okay.
that I brought in about 6 years, 7 years into that 21 years. I was just not strong in that area. And it's really tough to operate and then be negotiating with landlords. So these guys did
That's
that
true.
part and they did it really well. And their job was to deliver units to me every year that would be
Okay.
successful, and I would operate them. And so I was the
Got it.
CEO, and it worked really well. And then in the last couple of years, and that kind of is what I'm going into now is sowing the seeds for the brand that's over my
Right.
shoulder here. I just ran out of gas, and I was quietly falling apart
Hmm.
on the inside, physically and emotionally and mentally from the stress from all of the hustling over the years, and I
Can I
had
put a
traded my huh?
can I put a pin in this for a second
Yeah.
because I I just want to highlight this story to everybody listening. Okay. There is something that almost everybody listening to this knows that the rest of the world doesn't know. And forgive me for interrupting, but
Oh, it's okay.
it's lonely at the top, man.
Yeah.
On the outside, if you introduce yourself, I guarantee if you somebody just tangentially, maybe you're sitting in even a church pew or something. Oh yeah, that's Steve. He's running, I don't know, what is he up to? 30, 40, 50 of these things? It sounds like it's wildly successful just by the sheer size of it, you
Right.
know?
Have no idea.
And
Yep.
underneath the surface, frankly, that's a big reason we're having this conversation is I just feel like somebody listening to this is having that same feeling where on the
Right.
outside it looks amazing, but inside things are crumbling. So sorry, I just wanted to hit pause and highlight. Thank you for sharing, but keep going because
Yeah, no,
just
and you're right. And
being
with that many
vulnerable about
stores and that many people, we had, 10 or 12 crises a week
it.
going on in the
Right.
stores. Right. Now we were very profitable, all
Yeah,
of that, but
it's
there were years
stressful.
we weren't.
Yeah,
And we had to close some stores.
right.
But the bill was starting to come due as I got
Yeah,
into my early 50s
yeah,
physically.
yeah,
And I was trying to get help in the conventional health system. No,
yeah,
I have no issue with doctors, but it's built on disease. And I
yeah,
didn't have one yet, but I was on my way. And they had no answers. And because I was so depleted, I wasn't showing up in my marriage. I wasn't showing up for my
sure,
kids. I
sure.
wasn't showing up well for my partners.
Right.
Nobody. And I told people I felt like I was going down the train tracks, and and the tracks were getting wider, and I was trying to keep my feet on. I was just holding
Oh,
on.
yeah.
And
Unsustainable.
right, and so I resigned and sold my interest to my partners. So
Yeah.
because we had a deal at the very beginning, we had a buy-sell
Oh,
agreement
you
between
did.
the three of us.
Okay.
So I exercised it, and then came one of the hardest decisions of my life. I was probably the first person in my family ever to have that kind of cash.
Right.
Now, I wasn't stupid rich, but I had done really well and could have retired.
Sure.
And I took a year, and in that year, I met an amazing naturopathic MD from LA. His name's Dr. Matt. That's all
Hmm.
what I'll say. He's my partner now in this business behind me,
Yeah.
and this guy rebuilt me from the ground up. And I realized that I needed to I'm going to give Andy Crouch credit for this. He was
Yeah.
on your podcast.
Yeah.
I needed to re-risk my life.
Yeah.
And it was at this stage I had a big decision. My wife was amazing. I said, I want to put the chips back on the table. I don't think that retirement's in the Bible, and
Hmm.
I'm not going to grow if I don't have to work through some challenges. And, I'll weave in IBAM in a minute here. Uh, I don't want to be talking about things I did 5 years ago at IBAM. I need to be in the game.
Yeah.
And so we did. We jumped both feet and started Tiger Medical Institute to basically fix guys like you and me.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So kind of preventative medicine, right? Kind of a
Yeah,
little more
exactly.
holistic, preventative. I mean, and I think, I mean, that industry, if you will, segment is, I think it's growing. I mean, you
Yeah,
would know better than I do, but
it's really growing. I was a
yeah,
little bit early,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's starting to come of age.
yeah,
So definitely, yeah. And subsequent to then I bought a organic grocery store
yeah.
on Amelia Island, Florida, and then I have a health coaching digital app platform called Simple Health.
Okay,
And then I'm in a nutraceutical company. So those are my business activities.
gotcha.
Um, but
Tell us,
probably, do you want me to kind of
yeah,
unpack?
tell us about IBAM. This, how did that come about?
So 8 years in, so this is 2004.
Yeah,
We have a couple stores, that's it. And I get invited to go on a medical mission trip with our church to Thailand to the Northern Hill Tribe country area,
yeah.
which were China, Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand kind of all come
It's
together.
like the Lahu people, this kind of stuff. Have you
Yeah,
heard of them?
it's
Yeah,
Lahu, Lisu, Karen, Hmong. There's others. There's six.
we're doing a Bible translation for the Yellow Lahu people right now
Oh wow,
for our
that's
company.
really
So we're gonna head out there later in the year. So we'll have to talk offline about that
yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So we go up to Chiang Rai and then we had this pastor from Bangkok that we partnered with had multiple um, what I would call hostels, youth hostels
Yeah,
there. And they were filled mostly with young girls who would have been in the sex trade
right.
in Bangkok. So it was really meaningful. And then there was a network of maybe 40 churches that had been planted.
Okay.
So it was an amazing experience. And on that trip, God called me to missions.
Hmm.
And my pastor, who was on the trip, said, "You should think about business as mission. There's people running around setting their hair on fire like it's a new thing. And it's been around since Paul and Lydia and the Nestorian church." And he said,
Since
"Study it."
Jesus was swinging a hammer.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And because one of my mentors, David Rate, who used to be the CEO of Youth for Christ International, he
Sure.
still is my mentor. He said, "Steve, the great thing about business is you have to figure out who is your neighbor.
Hmm.
And it's not just literally the person next to you, your house. It's who do you interact with all day long." And for the entrepreneur, our neighbor is our employees, our customers, our vendors, anybody in that ecosystem.
Hmm.
And we can bring the kingdom of God into those relationships or the kingdom of the world. And we have a choice. And we can unpack that a little more later. But anyway, on this trip, uh, uh, Pastor Rudd said to me, "You should study it." So I spent 3 years studying models
Hmm.
because I'm an old banker. I have to analyze industries and all that stuff. And there's many forms of BAM, and they're all good. The one that I wanted to do was empowering indigenous believers
Hmm.
as part of their relationship with the local church.
Okay.
Because the church is God's hope of the world. That's what He ordained to reach the world, and I didn't want to do an end run around the church. So that's where IBAM started. I went to a trip. I went on a trip to southern Russia near Chechnya, my very first trip. So I got a baptism by fire.
Wow.
And basically, that set us on a course where we've primarily worked with Muslim background believers
Wow.
who get persecuted. They lose their jobs. Their communities disown them.
Yeah.
And what we've learned at IBAM over the last 20 some years is that when we put them in business, their communities re-embrace them.
Really
And they have a
interesting.
ministry to their community. Yeah.
Wow.
So we can go deeper, but anyway, that's kind of the origin story of IBAM.
That's amazing. So, all right, you own a few businesses. You're kind of helping operate one or more. I'm sure you step in on the others. How do you kind of split your time? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. Well, I've settled in on a schedule where Mondays are I run EOS, which is
Yep.
Entrepreneur Operating System
Yep.
in every organization, IBAM,
Okay.
all the companies. And I do that on Mondays. with all of the operating businesses. I do that every other Tuesday for IBAM. And then Tuesdays all day long, all I focus on is IBAM.
Okay.
And then Wednesday is my strategy day where I have no meetings and all I do is business strategy or IBAM strategy.
Love it.
And then Thursday, Friday are my sales calls and days for calls. And so that's how I organize my time.
I love
God
it.
gave me an executive mind. I always work through people. I work on every
Yeah.
business, not in them. So that's helped me tremendously. And directionally, I'm 62 now. I'm probably in the next 3 to 5 years going to, I'm either going to monetize every business or I'm not going to be in them at all. I'm going to be like a board member and I'm
Yep.
going to be increasingly all my time on IBAM because we have a vision to reach 1 million entrepreneurs in the next decade.
And so take us through just the high level strategy, if you don't mind.
Of IBAM? Yeah.
I'm thinking of the EOS one pager,
Yep.
and you got your three uniques and your
Yep.
3 year plan, and obviously you got your 1 year and your rocks and all that. But
Yep.
what's kind of the overarching
Yeah. Yep.
strategy? Like how do you find them?
Yep.
What's the
Yep.
teaching strategy? What are some of the core tenets?
Yeah. Great question. I love it when my business people interview me. Um, so at a very high level, the end product is a missionary entrepreneur who is indigenous to their community and they are making disciples as a lifestyle,
Yeah.
okay, within their church. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the end product of
Yes.
IBAM. Okay, now how do we achieve that? We like to say the three fish model,
Yep.
the old proverb. So we teach them to fish by teaching them biblical entrepreneurship so they can sustain a business and run it well and honoring God.
Yep.
Second thing, we give them a fish, which is we give them a loan up to $1,000,
Okay.
and we only will fund service businesses that are capital light.
Right.
So a lot of people can start businesses for less than that. And then third, we teach disciple making as a lifestyle within the context of their business and ask them for their kingdom business plan as part of the training. Okay.
Yeah.
So the model used to be send a bunch of Americans on airplanes all over the world.
Right, right.
No longer. We
Yeah,
have a multi-million-dollar website now that tracks every aspect of our process, includes all of our training, all of the accountability on the back end, all the coaching locally. So what we do now is we partner. So I'll give you an example. We partnered with Awana Worldwide
sure.
in Africa because they go to age 35 in Awana in Africa.
Okay.
They only go to like 12 in the US. So what we do is we partner with organizations and who already are proven with that they have a disciple making emphasis. And what they're looking for is what we provide, which is basically we're creating an internal credit market instead of having their people try to go to banks and borrow at triple the rates. We're creating opportunity for the people within those partners to learn how to be entrepreneurs biblically and sustain their families and contribute to the vision of the movement. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're solving that problem because these movements run out of gas eventually from donor fatigue and they want to be self sustaining, not self reliant, but self sustaining. We have a movement of about 2 million Muslims in underground churches all across Indonesia that we're working with in
Mm,
that part of the world. And then we work with a church planning network that is indigenous in Central Asia.
mm.
And we're I can't say the name of the organization yet because we haven't signed the deal yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a major globally recognized name in South America. So that's how we do it. And our train. So what we do is we certify master trainers,
Ah, okay.
and they run our curriculum. We teach them how to run their own loan committee, how to train
Yeah.
loan officers. We raise money in the US, we grant it to our partners, it never comes back. And then what we tell people is if you give to one, you're really giving to nine because we have a 90% repayment rate. And
Mm.
you know what's interesting, Jeff, is we used to get about a 40 or 50% repayment rate when the Americans were doing it.
Wow.
Now that our partners are doing it and they're indigenous, they ask better questions. They're tougher than we are, and they've got a 90% repayment rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of micro loans and this sort of thing where there's accountability. Do they have some accountability groups, or
Yes.
how does that work? Do they have
So
given?
we don't that model works really well in
Yeah.
a really low, like $20 group
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
setting.
yeah, yeah.
So we're more of what we call middle market
Maybe a
BAM.
niche up. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And the accountability with us is in our tracking system and in
Yeah.
the coaching. And the
Yeah.
other thing is that what we teach them from the very beginning of the process through our online video platforms and all of the curriculum is you are being given an opportunity by God's people as a Christ follower to provide for your family and for your local movement and to be a leader in your community. And when you pay this loan back, you are paying forward for the next person in your community. And you're borrowing from your community. You're not borrowing from a bunch of rich Westerners. You're borrowing from your own people. So there's that peer pressure.
Yeah.
And that's what, and it took us a long time to learn that. Like we did
Yeah.
all the stupid stuff in the past, where we lost more money. But anyway, that's how it works.
Makes sense. Let me ask you this. The What's a success story? What's an example of
Yeah,
a,
I'll give you
I
I have
know
a
you have a
couple.
hundred of them, but
Yeah, I
pick
do,
pick
but I'll
one
give
or
you a
two.
couple. I have a couple that are really
Okay.
fun. So Aziz, I'll give you a boy and a girl, okay?
Okay.
Aziza is from Central Asia. I have to leave her name
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
disconnected from the place because
Yeah.
the KGB is literally following them.
Oh,
They had to
geez.
move to Turkey.
Holy
Okay,
smokes.
I know. They're severely persecuted by these governments. She wanted to get into business, and she had an idea. She was going to provide flowers and chocolates and gifts for high-level executives online who needed help fulfilling important dates in their lives, like anniversaries, birthdays, whatever. So she created a really cool system online where, a lawyer in Tashkent could go online and get a flower basket or chocolates for his wife because before he forgot about her birthday. Well, anyway, that thing has exploded, and she's in 6 major Central Asian capitals now.
Holy smokes.
And she's paying for funding missionaries in every one of those countries. And and she paid her loan off in like 9 months. Okay.
Right.
And then we have another guy named Soyan, lives in Indonesia. Uh, and have you ever been to Asia and seen the million scooters that
Oh,
are?
yeah.
So he started a business right across the street from a major university, and he cleans helmets and shoes. That's what he does.
Perfect.
And he's already has a couple of employees, and he's led multiple people to Christ just in the year since we funded him. And I asked him, I was like, "How do you do this?" And he said, "Very simple." He said, "I get to know my customers. They tell me their problems, and I say, 'Would you like to know how God helped me solve my problems?'" And I know me
So
and two
simple,
other
right?
guys, we're all in our 60s. We're all experienced business guys, and we're looking at each other going, "He just taught us more than we'll ever teach him."
Yeah.
So
I'm
those are
actually
a
writing it
couple.
down. You know,
Isn't that great? Yeah. If you
so
go to
great.
IBAM
It's so
dot,
simple.
I know, if you go to IBAM.org, I think he's on the front page. His name is Suryan. It's like Suryan.
Crazy.
Suryan. Yeah, yeah. You can hear the video. It's fun.
That's crazy. So,
The big thing, Jeff, I want to say while you're thinking of your next
yeah.
question is this is not a microloan organization,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
What we're doing is we're an accelerator ministry to movements of disciple making around the world,
Yeah.
and we're solving the problem of sustainability within those movements. And so
Yeah.
we use the microfinance and the training as the tool, but the core is the gospel.
Yes. And they do also, how many decades have we all heard about, well, maybe we should start a coffee shop in the middle of nowhere
Yep.
to fund the, you know what I mean? But nobody really has the business training so
Right.
instead you kind of come alongside the local people in that local church who already think like this and just empower their ideas. And
Empower their ideas rather than a missionary.
yeah,
And
and frankly, teach the teachers to empower their
correct.
ideas.
Yeah.
Um, So just kind of,
Exactly.
it's almost like a little university that you've got to teach them how to
That's what
do.
we hope,
Yeah,
and think about it, we're all made in God's image. So are they, and
right.
God's creative, so are they. They're just as smart as we are, or smarter. So there's no shortage of creativity around the world. We
So
just have
true.
to unleash it, and that's our whole idea here.
So true. Um, yeah, like it's so many stories. One of the things I really like, there's so many layers to this story that you're sharing with us. But one of the things that constantly amazes me is I think how maybe, and I'm just thinking of somebody, walking on the treadmill, thinking about this, and
Oh,
they're like, what missionally should I get involved in? Like,
yeah.
people who listen to this a lot know I love this line about when Moses was kind of going, "What am I supposed to do?" and God's like, "Look what's in your hand." He's like, "What? This old stick?" You know what I mean? Can you just talk a little bit? You mentioned kind of earlier in the discussion about how God doesn't waste experiences.
Oh,
Can,
that's
can you
good.
can you kind of riff on that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I left banking in 2001, I thought I was done with that. I'd never use it again.
Yes.
And I haven't. I haven't been a banker since then. This is literally, it was on a trip, one of the years, and I think it was 25. I was in Africa, 2024 actually, and we were walking them through how to run loan committee, and it just hit me like, oh my gosh, I used to be the chairman of loan committee.
100%.
Yeah, and I used to do this, and I used to train people how to
Yeah.
get lenders ready for loan committee, and I'm like, here I am, I'm doing it all over again. And it hit me. It's like I was a banker to West Michigan. Now I'm a banker to the world.
And how do we wake other people up? What's your sort of we'll get to maybe a practical tip at the end,
Yeah,
but
yeah, sure.
but just in general, like when you're talking to somebody who, maybe a younger business person and they're kind of trying to figure out what they're good at, what would you say to them, about maybe they're ignoring the skills that are obvious to everyone else?
Yeah. So this is somebody that hasn't been in business yet and they're thinking
And then
about
maybe
it.
no, they're in business, but they
Okay.
don't know ministry wise what to do.
Oh, yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I'm going to make this simple because
Yeah.
I've been wrestling with these questions for 20 some years.
Right.
First and foremost, if you want to disciple others, you've got to be a disciple yourself. So
Mm.
that starts there,
Yeah.
literally, like this all in commitment to
Yes.
be with Jesus, not just
Mm.
do for him or, there's a great book well, I mean, I love John Mark Comer's book about being an apprentice, being a disciple. It's
Mm.
escaping me. The Way. The
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
is called The Way. Read that one. There's another one by Sky Jahani. It's Skye and then Jhani. Sky Jahani. The title is called With,
Mm.
just With.
Yeah.
I think as a young entrepreneur believer, you have to settle that the primary voice in my head is
Mm.
Christ, the Holy
Mm.
Spirit, and the Bible is the authority in my life. Because if you try to, as a believer, I don't think this applies for people who are lost, but if you're a believer, you have to go there first if you have any hope of being successful in business. Because God will discipline you, and if you're not following Him. And so that's what I would say that first. Be a
Yeah.
disciple, and certainly read the books, learn best practices,
Right.
but consult God in everything you do. So number one, that. The other thing is second that I would say, and I'm pulling it up on my phone because I have a friend who wrote a book about this. He said, you want to ask a very simple question every day in your business. Is this the way things work in the kingdom or in the world?
Wow.
And his name is Scott Reiser, and I don't have his book in front of me. Oh, yes, I do. It's called At Work as in Heaven.
Okay.
At Work as in Heaven by Scott
Mm-hmm.
Reiser, Ryser.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he said, ask that question, is this the way things work in the kingdom? So on a day-to-day basis, you've got an employee, who stole from you, say, okay, and it was a first offense. It's small, and it's like, okay, how is this going to work in the kingdom or in the world? In the world, you throw them away, you just kick them out the door. In the kingdom, you forgive them and you try to see if you can rehabilitate that employee. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
Applying that. And then, 'cause a lot of people, what they do is they think I got to have this grandiose vision where I scale it out and give millions. God doesn't need your money. Be a disciple first and then do the little things day to day that bring the kingdom of heaven to your business, because that's where the opportunities will come right there. And then if you want to get involved in something like IBAM or something else, you can, but it's from that foundation.
I just love it. Um, I'm thinking of the word abiding, you know,
Yeah, that's
like
it. That's
like
with.
being with Jesus. So that's like for me, I have to do that in the morning because I gotta like my head is I got
Me
last night I
too.
woke up and wrote down I don't know how many things on my to-do list. It was just one of the how sometimes you just wake up and so like I wake up thinking about the to-do list. It's like but like my quiet time in the morning like resets. Like I can literally feel my blood pressure fall as I give it
Yeah,
over, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, you do the with and then but then as the day is going, sort of taking captive behaviors.
It's so hard
And
for me too. Yeah, like how
right.
do I stay with him during the day?
Right.
Right.
And so I think your sort of second thing about is this, is my behavior, what am I doing the world's way or the kingdom way? Just regulating which world am I operating in as you make these decisions because we all make a lot of decisions and there's a
Yep.
choice of words for every
Yep. Or
situation,
attitudes. Yep.
attitudes, all those things and often those behaviors are different, kingdom versus world.
They are. And you know
So
what? And you can only discern that if you're doing them
the
in the
with
word in the
part.
morning, because you got to know what the map looks
You got
like.
to tune your antenna and then listen to the
Correct.
station, you
Correct.
know?
Yeah. I had a guy, we do a summit every year in IBAM, and I think I want to have you come appear on it,
Yeah.
okay? We're hoping to have 10 to 20,000 this year on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I had a guy in there who had built a $1 billion consumer products company. And he was in his 70s and he was bemoaning how he never did enough. And I
Right.
remember helping him turn that around and go, did you do this? Yep. Did you do this? Yep. I'm like, you had an amazing kingdom platform.
Right.
And it really, for him, it unlocked. He all of a sudden he got lighter and went, oh my God, you're right.
Right.
So yeah, too many people think they got to have the grandiose plan instead of the abiding.
I agree. And I think that leads us to that final question, which is
Yeah.
those are two great kind of macro things. But okay, so if somebody's going, all right, I got to get on this path tomorrow. When
Uh-huh.
they wake up tomorrow, some business owner listening where things maybe are starting to go well, but of course they got issues. But if they kind of want to get on this kingdom path more than they have been, maybe they've been on the world's path a little too much, and they're listening to this, and they feel the Holy Spirit kind of telling them, I need to get more on this kingdom path. What's something they should do tomorrow to kind of make progress in the right direction?
Okay, a couple things. Uh, because that's hard. It's like, how do I bring it
I
down?
know, but it's okay. I
What,
mean,
yeah,
just a
one
little
thing I
thing
would
even.
do is I would look up the author Jordan Rayner,
Hmm.
Jordan, and Rayner, Raynor. He, in my opinion, communicates. I think he communicates at the highest, best level the idea of how do I take a look at what I do in my relationship with God and merging it.
Hmm.
Phenomenal writer on that subject.
Hmm.
So I would say go buy 7 or 8 of his books and read them all. All
That's
right. If you're
fantastic.
serious, that's how I was, and so that'd be one thing.
And then that's
Uh,
the idea of an integrated life, right? Like it just like,
yes.
wait, I go to church on Sunday. Shouldn't my work be more meaningful? I'm listening to this podcast, maybe some other stuff that's inspiring me, but I haven't really done anything different. So just I think it's like the mindset first, kind of like the being with
It
Jesus. It's
is.
like,
It
oh, the
precedes.
business is a ministry. If I'm asking God how to use it, He will start to show you
Well,
ways,
he
right?
will. And I would go further. I'd say it is your
Yes,
ministry.
it is. Yes.
Okay.
Spent a
And
lot of
also,
time there.
all right, let's think about this too. The creator of everything lives inside of you. There's nothing secular in your life. The minute you show up in your building, it's sacred. And that's what Jordan says. You can't, there
Right.
can be no secular in your life. Now, you may have squelched the spirit and you're making decisions that way, but my point is everything you do is sacred.
Yes.
We have in Genesis 1:26 through 28, if people read that and then find somebody who will unpack it. Jordan Rayner does a great job
Yeah.
unpacking that, but the big idea there is that's our first commission. There's the Great Commission, but Genesis 1:26 through 28 is the first commission, and it's basically saying go out and promote human flourishing and make the lives better for people. And guess what? Every business in the world, other than porn and cigarettes and
Right.
alcohol, is doing that.
Right.
So, right? So keep it that simple is buy some books, learn about it, and I would say just become a disciple because here's the thing, you and I can't prescribe it for our listeners here. If they embrace this idea that it's all one thing and they are listening to God in that disciple relationship, the Holy Spirit will lead them to what God wants them to uniquely do to do this. Okay.
So good, man. So good. Just be a disciple and whatever you need to do to read and
Yep.
get in his word and understand your position.
Yep.
And once
God
you
will do
start
the
asking,
rest. God
yeah,
will
he
do the
will.
rest.
He really will. So
Right.
get the
Because your story
mindset.
and mine should not be emulated. They should forge their own.
Exactly. One of the things we always say is if you've seen one generous business owner, you've seen one generous business
Yeah,
owner.
that's very
God's
good.
that creative.
Yeah.
So we can take little ideas from you and Jordan and other people and
Yeah.
language and mindset and all those things, but the way we're going to execute is unique to the way God made us and the opportunities he gives us. So
One
it's
last thing.
yeah,
Also, start small. When you first start making
yeah,
money, start giving out of your
yeah,
business, even if it's tiny, even if you
right,
can't do full tithe of 10% of profit or whatever your opinion is on that.
right.
Start because uh, that's also has its own rewards.
It
So
does, and that will compound and have its own rewards. You're right.
that's right.
Well, Steve, this has been a riot, man. Thanks so much for joining us. I could talk for hours. So
Jeff, I have one thing I want to give people for free
go
if
ahead.
if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
open to it.
Where do they find some resources that you point them
Yeah,
to?
yeah. Well, the big thing is if they go to ibam.org,
Okay.
we have on the website something called Third Fish Academy.
Yep.
Okay. And I should have it up looking at it
I'm
right
looking at
now.
it.
Yeah. Do you see it?
Yep.
If they go there, it's our entire curriculum we've set up in a domestic learning management system for free. So
Okay.
any young entrepreneur can go in there and get the same training we're doing around the
Oh,
world to help,
cool.
and it'll help them answer some of these questions you and I have talked about
Love
today.
it. I see the start the free course in red. So
Free.
go
And
to
yeah,
yeah,
there's no bait and
thirdfish.org
switch.
is the shortcut, I guess.
Yeah,
Thirdfish.org. We'll put it in the
thirdfish.org.
show notes,
Yeah,
but
and there's no bait and switch. There's no
yeah,
in-app purchases. It's
right.
just free.
Love it. Well, thank you, Steve, for that and for sharing your story and your wisdom today. It's been a blessing to me, and I know it will be to many others. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Jeff.
And thanks, everybody, for joining us on this week's Generous Business Owner Podcast. Like it, share it with a friend, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Generous Business Owner Podcast with Jeff Thomas, Alan Barnhart, and Jeff Rutt. Make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can find the guest contact information in the show notes. Stay tuned for the next episode.